From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ijoma Onyato.
Hello and welcome. After several legal battles, Supreme Court upholds election of Kano, Sokoto, Bauchi and Plateau State governors in the March 2019 governorship election. Main opposition People's Democratic Party holds protest rally in Abuja to challenge Supreme Court verdicts, which ousted Emeka Hedioha as governor, while Imo APC holds solidarity rally in support of Governor Hope Uzodinma. President Muhammadu Buhari attends inaugural UK-Africa Economic Summit, seeks Britain's support in extraditing fugitives to answer corruption charges. And spread of coronavirus in China increases with more than 200 cases and 3 deaths recorded. Plus, business, sports, news from Abuja, the EFCC, and then later on we'll head off to our studios in London.
And on business news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari holds bilateral meetings with World Bank President and business leaders on the sidelines of a UK-Africa Investment Summit in London.
On sports news tonight, defending Australian Open champions Novak Djokovic and Naomi Osaka scale opening round hurdles in the Australian Open in Melbourne.
And from Abuja, we report truck accident along Mayadua Shargali Road in Katsina State leaves 17 persons dead and several others injured.
It's Judgment Day today as the highest court in the land gave its verdict in the appeals challenging the victory of governors of Kano, Sokoto, Bauchi and Plateau states in the March 2019 governorship election. At different sessions, the judges of the Supreme Court upheld the verdicts of the lower courts, which affirmed them as duly elected. Today's verdict lays to rest the 10-month legal battle, which started at the Election Petitions Tribunal all the way to the Supreme Court.
The courtroom is filled to capacity as 4 state governors from Plateau, Bauchi, Sokoto and Kano states await the verdict of the court in cases challenging the elections. One after the other, the Apex Court dismissed the appeals challenging the victory of the affected governors. Justice Sylvester Nguta dismissed the appeal filed by the All Progressives Congress and its governorship candidate Mohammed Abubakar, challenging the election of Senator Bala Mohammed as a governor of Bauchi State for lacking in merit. The same fate befell the appeal challenging the election of Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State, as the 7-man panel dismissed the appeal filed by retired General Jeremiah Hussaini of the People's Democratic Party. The lawyers to Senator Bala Mohammed and Mr. Simon Lalong react to the judgment.
We are very happy that we have won. You remember we won at the polls, we won at the election tribunal, we won at the Court of Appeal, and now we have also won at the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court has delivered its judgment. It's based on 2 concurrent findings, and as you have heard from them, the appeal fails on all grounds.
The counsel represented one of the appellants, Jeremiah Hussaini, goes philosophical in his comments on the judgment.
The Supreme Court itself has said in Adegoke's case that it is final in the sense of all finality, not because it is infallible. It is infallible because it is final.
The earlier judgments delivered by the court also saw the appellants losing their appeals as the court affirmed the election of Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State and Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State. Although the lawyer to the appellants were unavailable for comments, the lawyer to Governor Ganduje and that of INEC applaud the verdict of the court.
Since the allegations which they made
was not consistent with the sole ground which they based the petition on. If there was no basis upon which the court or the tribunal would have considered the allegation which they made.
Though the election was keenly contested and the margin was very narrow, very small, but unfortunately they couldn't present cogent and sufficient evidence to warrant the Supreme Court to dissolve the decision of both the election tribunal and the Court of Appeal Sokoto decision.
With a tone of finality, the Apex Court held that the appellants were unable to prove the invalidity of the elections by virtue of alleged non-compliance with the Electoral Act.
Meanwhile, last week's verdict of the Supreme Court, which upturned the election of Mr. Emeka Ihedioha as governor of Imo State, is still a cause of concern for the People's Democratic Party. The leaders of the main opposition party led a protest today to demand the reversal of the court judgment and the return of its candidate as governor. The party's vice presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, was also part of the protest.
1 week after the judgment of the Supreme Court nullifying the election of Emeka Ihedioha as Imo State governor, this large crowd of PDP protesters in Abuja are gearing up for what they describe as a safe democracy protest. On Tuesday, January the 14th, the Supreme Court sacked the governorship candidate of the PDP in the 2019 Imo State governorship election, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha, and directed INEC to issue a certificate of return to the APC candidate, Senator Hope Uzodimma, as the authentic governor of the state. As soon as the PDP chairman and other leaders of the party arrive, the protesters file into the streets, waving party flags and chanting PDP slogans. And in the frenzy, this happens. Notwithstanding, the protesters head for the Supreme Court, where they hope to state their demands. But the protest eventually terminates at the Eagle Square to prevent a clash with another group of protesters who are already at the entrance of the Supreme Court. Here, the protesters state their demands.
I'm appealing to the judiciary who they have supported. Please, save this country. Save this country. What happened in Imo State is enough to kill our democracy. Yes. Please save this country. Let us ensure that judiciary becomes the last hope of the common man by doing what is right. I appeal to APC. Please do not kill this democracy.
All we are seeking today is for our very highly respected jurists all over at the highest court of the land. We are not against you, and all we are seeking for is for you to review this error. Review, revisit, and reverse the Imo State judgment.
Judgment by the Supreme Court is final and irreversible, but whether or not the Imo State case will be an exemption is what time will tell.
And while the PDP held its protest in Abuja, the ruling All Progressives Congress in Imo State also held a solidarity rally in Owerri, the Imo State capital, in support of the state governor, Hope Uzodimma. Members of the party from the all 27 local government areas of the state gathered peacefully as they reiterated their confidence in Governor Uzodimma's promise to change the fortunes of the state.
Members and supporters of the All Progressives Congress in Imo State converged on the Hero Square in Owerri, the state capital, for a solidarity rally in support of the Supreme Court ruling that led to the emergence of Senator Hope Uzodimma as the duly elected governor of Imo State. The crowd in their numbers, carrying placards with various inscriptions, chant songs to show their support for Senator Hope Uzodimma. The crowd then moves from the Hero Square down to the Government House, where they are being received by the state governor, Hope Uzodimma, and other top government functionaries. One after the other, APC members addressed the crowd, promising to provide their unalloyed support to the new government in the state and maintaining that the Imo people are happy with the emergence of Senator Hope Uzodinma as governor.
I'm here to tell you that all the people are happy. Your landlords are happy.
Women of Imo State, we are here on solidarity visit to our governor, the Owoyeko of Imo State, the distinguished senator of Imo State.
The Imo State governor says the state government will resist any attempt by the People's Democratic Party to cause a breakdown of law and order. He reiterates that it's no news that the court has corrected the electoral malpractice perpetrated by the PDP in the March 9th governorship election, and his emergence as the governor is a true reflection of the votes of the people.
Government is one. Yes. There is unity in Nigeria. Yes. And the interest of our country is far, far above any other interest. Yes, sir. I'm already the governor. I'm in charge here.
The Supreme Court had on Tuesday, January 14th, nullified the election of Emeka Ihedioha as governor of Imo State and declared Senator Hope Uzodinma as the winner of the March 9th, 2019 governorship election. The Apex Court agreed that results in 388 polling units were unlawfully excluded during the collation of the final governorship election result in Imo State.
And staying with legal-related matters, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will tomorrow, January the 21st, arraign the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Muhammad Adoke, over his alleged involvement in the $1.2 billion Malabu oil deal. The commission filed 12 counts against Mr. Adoke, Aliyu Abubakar, and Raski Gunige as Malabu Oil as well and Gas Limited. Others listed in the charge sheet are Nigeria Ajib Exploration Limited, Shell Nigeria Ultra Deep Limited, and Shell Nigeria Exploration Production Company Limited. The Commission also filed 7 counts before a federal high court against Mr. Muhammad Adoke and Aliyu Abubakar after deciding to prosecute the ex-minister for the role he allegedly played in the controversial Oil Prospecting License 245, otherwise known as the Malabu oil scam. Mr. Adoke was arrested by the EFCC in December last year after returning from Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, where he was first arrested and detained. More legal matters. A federal high court in Lagos has refused to consolidate the trial of Mr. Uyi Giwa Osage and Abdullahi Babalele, the lawyer and son-in-law to the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2019 general election, Atiku Abubakar. In his judgment, Justice Chukwuje Kuaneke ruled that since there was no provision in the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 empowering him to turn down a case assigned to him by the chief judge of the court, he could not reject Mr. Babalele's case. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is accusing Mr. Giwa Osage and Babalele of laundering money during the 2019 general elections. While Mr. Babalele was accused of laundering $140,000, Mr. Giwa Osage was charged along with his brother Eruns Giwa Osage with the offense of laundering $2 million. They have both pleaded not guilty and were granted bail, while the court has adjourned to April the 2nd. In part 2, after the break, President Muhammadu Buhari participates in the ongoing inaugural session of the UK Africa Summit held in London. That's coming up in a moment. This day.